So welcome to the pilot episode of Three Men and a Mic with your host, Joe Barron, Javier Montemayor, and Gene Belmares. Our show is going to feature special guests, call-ins, segments like Hot Topics and I Saw It on the Internet, My Mother Said,
Perfect.
and other things that we'll be talking about in this show. It's not going to be all political. It's not going to be all cultural, all but it's going to be all topics, and we'll have plenty of things to say. Right, Joe?
Absolutely.
Part of the reason we wanted to do this podcast is Joe and I had been talking about how difficult conversations have gotten with folks who are on polar opposites of, whatever the subject matter be, politics, religion, healthcare, whatever it is, that the topics had gotten so hot and so acrimonious that people don't are losing friendships over it and things of that nature, and they didn't have any discourse. So we thought, what a great way to have a show where we could really get heated about certain things, comical about certain things, maybe even poke some fun at each other. But at the end of the day, we'd walk away and go have a beer or pancakes in the morning, depending on how long this thing lasts, and we'll go from there. And Javi feels the same way we do, right? We're talking about.
Absolutely. So, from my perspective, it started off as a legal analyst kind of podcast, something where we could share our legal points of view or discuss the law. But in talking to Joe and in sitting with Gene, it's a deeper show, something that's more well-rounded, something that our entire community can participate in, from the youth to veterans to men's health issues, looking at immigration policies and current events. So I'm really excited. that this is starting to organize and it's starting to develop, and I'm enjoying this.
And we were both talking about how many political shows are out there, and then I shared that with Joe and said, maybe this is not what we want to do, where it's all political, but obviously there's going to be politics involved in it, because the topics that we're going to touch on, like healthcare, for example, there are political debates happening right now, but there's also fundamental or anecdotal experiences that we've had with the healthcare system, whether it be the healthcare finance side of it, insurance, and what I've often said is an area that people don't focus on is healthcare delivery.
Yeah.
Why does it cost so much to go to the doctor, and why do they get billed what they do, and how is Medicare,
or
Medicaid?
being in Laredo, right? The lack of healthcare.
Exactly.
I go to San Antonio to see my doctors.
I had an experience just recently with a granddaughter, and we had to go to Driscoll in Corpus Christi for that. And
that situation, people, are they losing trust in our healthcare here locally? Do we have the necessary treatment for children? I think it's also one of the major issues, one of the major political issues that has come up recently. And those are things that we need to talk about. Let's air it out. Just immigration. Minneapolis is one of the more controversial hot topics, if you will. Here locally, how's it affecting us? How's it affecting San Antonio, South Texas? Are we losing families? Are we separating families? Those are all issues that are hard to talk about. And in my opinion, it's not necessarily a Republican issue or a Democrat issue. It's a local issue that we have to deal with. Border walls situations.
The border wall, yeah.
And some of these topics will touch all bases, right? From political to
cultural,
religion to cultural to a little bit of everything. So.
And personal experiences that we've had in those arenas, as a school board member, as a council member, and as a operator of an NGO. Those are things that I think we're going to share our experiences, but at the same time, we're going to try to keep it light, and even when it gets heavy. There are certain topics that we're going to come to you, like extraterrestrials. We're going to talk, are we alone in the universe? Is the U.S. government hiding secrets from us? That's a topic I want to cover. And, of course, I call them extraterrestrials. Joe called them aliens. I said, don't do that, because ISIS is going to want to deport them. So.
Well, mine was life after death. So, I wanted to know, is there life after death? Is there anybody out there with experiences in this? Reincarnation, does that actually exist? For me, it's just an interesting topic. And I know that a lot of people share that.
You go somewhere and you say, I've been here before.
Yeah, you got your deja vu.
I've seen this.
You've seen this before,
right? Deja vu.
We've all had that kind of experience as well. And of course, my question is, how come everybody who has been reincarnated was somebody famous in a previous life?
Yeah.
There were no plumbers, no ditch diggers, or the guy that rode the buggy.
Yeah.
So
I know Joe had talked about youth sports.
Absolutely.
And how that's something that's growing, and parental involvement in youth sports, or we living vicariously through our children. Those kinds of situations.
I just saw a video where a parent just rushed at a referee.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. Just clocked them.
I know one of our middle schools recently had a entire second half with the bleachers empty. All the parents were asked to leave because they were just getting a little out of hand, and the administrator in charge emptied the gym. The kids played the second half with no kids.
No audience.
No audience. I mean, with no parents. Yeah.
Shame.
So those are issues, and those are situations that we are fun to talk about. So.
Absolutely. And we're going to have special guests sometimes when we talk about healthcare. We plan to invite some folks from our medical community, from our healthcare community. When we talk about immigration, obviously we want to have folks that come in can talk about that. But when we talk about things like life after death, maybe we'll get our good friend the deacon to come over and visit with us, or Monsignor, and a couple of the folks that we know that might be able to speak to that on how it's viewed, and what's what part of it is actually spiritual. What part of it is, are you kind of delving into the things that you maybe shouldn't as a good?
Yeah. Are we opening up Pandora's box that you don't want to do? But we can't help but also ignore. We have the political contests that are coming up, the elections. From my perspective, it's always motivating to let's get the voters out and let's motivate them to come out and participate. That's always a situation, and in that respect, I think one of our topics was how do we get people to step up and join the elections, the younger generations who are up and coming, the younger professionals. How do
we mentioned that, and I think I showed you all that one commercial or that one ad that was put out at some point in the mid 2000s to get out the vote, and it was all the older folks saying that they vote all the time, but the young people never vote, and it was one of the funniest commercials I'd ever seen to get the vote out. And it's been a criticism I've had of a lot of these folks who come out there and do these voter registration drives. Yep. It's great that you get them all to register, but if you don't get them out to vote, what good is that? Yeah, I mean, it's a great effort you did, and I applaud you, but we fell short. That's like getting the ball to the 20-yard line. You never get any further. You don't even kick a field goal. So
those are all issues that I think are important. I think they're interesting. I know talking to some of the younger generation, my daughter, her friends, they leave for college, and how do we get them to come back? What do we have in Laredo to offer our younger generation to promote themselves as professionals, to grow, to start families? That issue, about are we having children?
Yeah. Also the brain drain, all those folks that are leaving that, I've got two brothers who, the minute they graduated, they moved out of town, and they have never, ever looked back to move back to Laredo. I left as well, but then came back and saw opportunities in Laredo and came back to do that. Joe, all of us have had opportunities to practice law elsewhere, and but we chose Laredo. So we're hoping that the show makes an impact for the community, but also it's not a border show. It's not a Laredo show. We're hoping to get input and engagement from folks well beyond our city limits. We hope. Yeah. And to do that, we're going to have sponsors. And so what we're going to do right now is take a commercial break to help pay some bills and keep the lights on and the mics open. And so if you'll indulge us, some of our sponsors, our great sponsors who have chosen to be part of the show. We want to thank folks like Richard Rosas and Rotex and Andy's Mobility and the Rosas family, the sponsors of the show, of this particular pilot show, gracious enough to let us use their commercials and their name for it, and others. So
absolutely,
we'll be right back after this commercial message. Outro music, please.
Life is full of great moments, special moments, shared with friends, family, and loved ones. But for some, pain deprives us from fully enjoying these moments. If chronic pain is keeping you from fully enjoying life, there is hope. Hi, I'm Dr. Marta Martinez. At Advanced Spine Pain Solutions, we're dedicated to treating our patients with the most advanced and compassionate care possible. Visit us for an evaluation and let our experienced staff help you get back to living a pain-free life.
And a mic with Joe Barron, Javier Montemayor, Gene Belmontes, and we're hoping to have a guest today, but today our guests are going to be the Home Depot plants that we got behind us here, since we didn't schedule a guest in our pilot program. But we do have some special features coming in later on in the show. Right now, I wanted to kind of open up the floor and just talk about, what this show really is for us and for the community. We're hoping that through the live call-in and through the feeds on social media that we'll be able to answer your questions, or maybe take on a topic that you want to take on, that you want us to take on in future shows. So we'll take those kind of suggestions and want to have this public engagement with you all. We don't want this to be a show that is just driven from studio, but also coming from elsewhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, different points of view, different topics. I've been practicing law now for about 29 years. I've handled, a variety of cases in the court systems, federal, state, Texas, and other jurisdictions. And so I've gotten to see a lot of what is going on with our community. I've served on, I currently serve on the school board, so I get to see what's going on in our community, what our parents talk about. And so a lot of the topics that we hope to discuss on this show are very, they're very general, but they're very important. When we talk about the immigration debate here locally, it probably hits more at home because we have a very close relationship with Mexico. Mm-hmm. We are on the border. When we talk about health care for veterans, we see a lot of the mental health situations that our veterans go through. We see we know a lot of veterans ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so we get to deal with them. We have them in our family as well. The youth issues that you were talking about, Joe. That how we treat those issues at our parks, at our campuses. What do we have to offer our kids? Those are all very important topics, very general topics. They're not political. They're not faith-based. They're just things that happen.
And they're interesting topics. I think everyone's had that conversation at some point.
Yeah.
Youth sports. I mean, my son played it all his life, right? So I was one of those coaches. I was there. And it got heated, So, in my end, I've worked the nonprofit area for a while. I have been, personally gone through the homelessness issue, right? Mm-hmm. Laredo homelessness, immigration issue.
That's a great topic as well.
All of those, right? And a bunch of those are mental health related, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of crosses over.
Sure.
So I think this is a perfect platform to talk, to open the eyes and maybe get a conversation between everybody.
We want y'all to think this is like Thanksgiving dinner every Tuesday, right? Your Uncle Bob's coming over and you got to face some hard topics because he's going to talk about those things.
Oh, yeah. We all have Uncle Bob.
We all have Uncle Bob.
So we've planned our shows, some of our topics, and we hope to have some very interesting guests out here to discuss the issues. And we also like to invite the community to come in and give us your topic, something you'd like to talk about, something that we all come from different backgrounds. We all have different experiences. Some have been involved in politics, some have not yet, but we share a variety of roads of experiences. So I think it's important that the community, get involved and let us know what they think is important. Going back on the life after death, that's just one of my topics that I think is very important.
And it's an interesting topic because a lot of us, what are the top 5 fears? I think the first one is the fear of change, but second is fear of death, right?
Yeah.
No?
And public speaking is number 3. So we're trying to conquer all of that up here.
Right. Yeah.
And it's funny, we were talking about how I wanted to minimize the amount of politics that we have in there. And I was telling that to my kids, and my son said, yeah, that's like asking Colonel Sanders to stop frying chicken.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it always goes back to the same thing for me as well. After I say, hey, it's going to be a really good show. It's going to be a real interesting show. It's not going to be political. Okay,
They give you
all right.
that look,
It's just,
right?
it's
Like,
always,
yeah, right.
it always just comes back to the political scene, and while the political scene is extremely interesting all the time, there's different races out there, different candidates, different issues. I wanted to talk about some of the legal issues facing our community.
Sure.
What happens, when you get arrested? What happens when you go through personal issues in family custody cases, and et cetera, et cetera. So, but joining in with both of you has really opened up the spectrum of issues that we can talk about. So I'm really excited about that.
oh yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and then we're going to add fun facts. Like one of the fun facts that we were talking about earlier is that this whole issue that's happening in Minnesota
Oh yeah.
with the Somali community.
Mm-hmm.
So many of those asylum seekers that are now in Minnesota were actually processed here in Laredo. And,
Correct.
Over the last 10, 15 years, they were being processed through this port of entry,
Absolutely.
seeking asylum, and then eventually winding up in Minnesota and other places throughout the north. But, when we talk about the topics that are important to us, over and above the politics, there's also the economic stuff that we're going to talk about.
Exactly.
The importance of Laredo as the nation's largest port, the largest inland port. Infrastructure, why Laredo doesn't get the money it deserves for the infrastructure. How does that work? And then we talked about some simple things like why is it the restaurants in Laredo outside of tacos and sushi never make it? That's such a hard thing to. Other communities you go and they've got this wide variety of cuisine. In Laredo, we're limited to tacos and sushi.
Do you need a live band? You need a live band sometimes to keep that restaurant open.
It
So
could
Live
be.
band and beer.
Live band of beer, right?
It's interesting.
Where's Arnold Villalomero when you need him, right?
That's right.
Yeah, 'cause you can get a taco guisado and a roll of sushi at the same restaurant. It's really interesting.
Tortilla,
with
that's right.
tortilla de harina, it's really interesting.
I've gone to gasoline stations that actually have that as well, but gasoline station sushi, I don't know about that, guy. Is that good?
Aquí it's what is it? The Taco Factory, Laredo Taco Factory. Stripes in every
It's
stripe.
actually one of the best businesses, and it's expanded, and the concept has
As has
caught.
my waistline.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They're good
Exactly.
tacos.
Good
Exactly.
tacos, yeah. So that's part of it, and of course, we want to be able to take in comments from the community as well. So if there's something that you want to talk about that's important to you, or if you ever want to be a guest on our show, we'll maybe even entertain that as well. Especially if you've got a hot topic that needs to be discussed, and current event, or just something that is important to you. The music scene in Laredo. Why don't we have a greater or broader music scene in Laredo, or a greater the arts movement in Laredo?
Sure.
We're great places to shoot commercials and movies, and yet we're not.
And one of the things, Gene, that you mentioned is people calling in, right? I hope they call in when they agree, and I hope they call in when they don't. Right? It's always good to hear someone else's point of view, somebody else to see through their eyes, right? I mean, we're just three. I mean, it's cada cabeza es un mundo, right?
Yeah.
So I would love to hear people that agree with us and disagree with us.
And ask some hard questions of us as well. Because some of us have played roles in public life and public service.
Yeah.
Others are still playing a role with hot topic events and community events, and so it's important to ask those hard questions.
Yeah.
And hopefully get the kind of answers that they have you go away from the show wanting to come back and listen to the next episode, because something good's going to come out of it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're going to take a quick break here and thank our sponsors for sponsoring the show. Keep the lights running, keep the mics open, and hopefully have you tune into us more often. So we'll be right back. Outro, take us out, Ale.
Life is full of great moments, special moments, shared with friends, family, and loved ones. But for some, pain deprives us from fully enjoying these moments. If chronic pain is keeping you from fully enjoying life, there is hope. Hi, I'm Dr. Marta Martinez. At Advanced Spine Pain Solutions, we're dedicated to treating our patients with the most advanced and compassionate care possible. Visit us for an evaluation and let our experienced staff help you get back to living a pain-free life.
And we are back to Three Men and a Mic with Joe Barron, Javi Montemayor, and Gene Belmares. And we're going to have several segments that we're talking about, like the hot topics, and I saw it on the internet. And I've got Joe over here. This is a live show. Joe's over there hacking up a lung. He'll be back to us in just a second. But in this show, our goal is to get some really great community engagement and to get folks to call in or ask their questions or make their comments on Facebook, YouTube. We're gonna multicast this show. It's gonna be simulcast on 2 or 3 platforms and possibly a 4th, our website. So if you are not into social media but want to see the show, you can just go to the website on the internet and be able to watch the show there, and it'll also have a mechanism to send us a question. And again, when we do the show, Javi, one of the things we're going to do is encourage our friends to send questions in advance, and maybe we'll read your question.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do the topic here. So
there's no wrong or right questions. You can ask. Pretty much it's open. Whatever you want to ask. We were just having a discussion about youth sports before we came back on, and is it the good, the bad of extracurricular activities? Does it help our children? Do children, learn from being involved in extracurricular activities like football, baseball, basketball, band? Those are some of the discussions that we were just talking about. And there's no right or wrong answers. We've had discussions with different people on those topics, and we'd like to expand on that. So, hopefully we can get some input from the community and get that going. We have healthcare. Is that what is the issue with Laredo healthcare? Are people staying in Laredo? Why are people some people thinking that the healthcare is better in San Antonio or elsewhere? I happen to have some good doctors here. I happen to trust some of them, most of the medical professionals that I've visited here. But, that's a topic that a lot of our community, members, want to discuss. And it's the same thing with the legal profession. A lot of people go out and hire lawyers from San Antonio or Houston. And, we have very equipped, very competent lawyers in Webb County and in our courts. And I'll stack them up against any lawyers outside of this area. So, but again, why do people feel this way? And so those are fair topics, and we're hoping that we get some input from the community to discuss some of these things. I wanted to start the show with as a legal show, but again, we've expanded it, and so it's a good situation. It's a good situation.
And so what we're going to do in our first segment of our pilot show is we're going to take on our first caller. We have a special caller now, and let's see if we can hear our special caller through our platform here. Caller, you're on the air.
Is this a 3-man and a mic?
This is 3 Men and a Mic. Yes, sir.
Hey, 3-man. Thanks for doing this show. It's really cool. Y'all are talking about doing different topics, and I was planning on doing a dinner maybe later this week, and we're going to have baked potatoes. And I was wondering, do you have any secrets or special recipes for baked potatoes? And if I wrap it in foil, should I wrap it with the shiny side in or the shiny side out? And if I do a loaded potato, do I really need sour cream?
You need to serve a lot of alcohol at
Y'all
this,
have any ideas
at this
on
dinner.
You know, that's an interesting question. So the question was, in case you didn't hear it, they're going to have a dinner party and they're going to serve baked potatoes. So the first question was, a twofold question is, if he's going to bake the potatoes, do you wrap them in foil with the shiny side out or shiny side in? And if it's a loaded baked potato, do you really need sour cream? Well, first, let me tell you, a baked potato in and of itself is kind of a plain old way to do it. I would take a mandolin and slice those potatoes, put them in a tray, stack them up nicely, put some bacon and some cheese and some butter on that, stick them in the oven, and then you just pop those out like muffins and serve them right next to your steak on a plate. And if you're going to wrap them, though, it's got to be the shiny side out.
Yeah, I agree. Caller. You got to do the shiny side out. I think it would depend. Are you putting these potatoes on a fire pit? Are you going to bake these potatoes?
Depending on where they are,
Yeah.
Caller, you would want to put those shiny side out either way. And if you're putting them in the microwave, dude, don't wrap them in aluminum foil. You're going to have all sorts of craziness happen to your kitchen. And as far as the sour cream, dude, what's a loaded baked potato without sour cream?
Yeah, there's got to be something really wrong serving a baked potato without sour cream. I mean, that's almost sinful.
It's sacrilege, absolutely.
Yeah, so, but unless you have a lot of alcohol and people won't notice, I would definitely make sure that they're well cooked.
That as well. And again, Idaho, there's got to be a state law in Idaho that says you can't do a loaded baked potato without sour cream. It might even be a federal thing at this point.
Yeah, maybe you get deported.
All right, caller, thank you. Appreciate the call in, and line is open. We're going to read a comment off of Facebook in one of our segments. We're going to read another one off of YouTube, and questions all come in that way. And if you have a question, you can also email the show. We do have an email set up for that and a telephone number to call those in. So we'll get all that kind of squared away in the next couple of days. And sometimes it won't be the three of us here. Maybe Javi's got a court case, or I've got to be at a board meeting or something, and Joe's got to unload a bus of folks. And so we wind up having a guest speaker come on and fill in the seat. And obviously we're going to try to have guests come in and talk about the hot topics or segments that we've got. But, we want this show to be your show. We want to have fun with it as much as we're talking about the things that have political tinges to them or have heated debates attached to them. We're also going to have some funny segments in there like we saw it on the internet. We don't have a clip for you tonight, but there's some funny things I saw on the internet this week, especially with all the ice in Austin, Texas. Some people should not be driving in winter weather in Texas. Absolutely not. Javi, I don't know why people get behind the wheel when it's 17 degrees outside and it's been sleeting and you're used to 110 degree weather.
I tell you, my son, for example, would walk out in shorts and a T-shirt, in 20-degree weather. I don't understand. Put on a jacket, son. Put on some shoes. You're going to get sick. But, kids these days have different ways of thinking,
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
and you know, but you're right. You know, you shouldn't be out on the road when it's you know, dangerous. You know, you can cause an accident or somebody can get hurt. You need to stay home, pay attention to the weather, and stay safe. Everybody needs to stay safe.
And the other question I have about winter weather in Texas, what is y'all's fascination with toilet paper? My God, every time we have a weather event, the toilet paper's the first thing to go.
Somebody needs to explain that to me.
Yeah.
During COVID, it was toilet paper. You know, after every time there seems to be an emergency situation, people rush to the store and buy toilet paper, and nobody's ever been able to explain it to me. What is the situation with toilet paper?
As soon as
Why?
we get Joe back in here, I got to ask Joe that question. He's got to know that one.
Somebody needs to tell me.
Somebody's got to know what in the wide, wild world of sports is going on with toilet paper and weather events.
So it's going to be an interesting show. It's
Yeah.
going to be an interesting
We're gonna
show.
have-
Joe's going to have his he's going to enlighten us with his point of view, and we're looking forward to that. You know, we're ready to roll. We're ready to roll with this.
And we're hoping that that you participate. And again, if you have an answer for the toilet paper thing, we want to know about it. You can put it on our social media, and you can DM us, or you can put it on the comments. Our Facebook pages are already up and open, and so is our Instagram and our YouTube. And we've got a website that's going to be loaded with episodes on it soon. This is our pilot show, so we're kind of working out all the kinks and kind of get everything situated for the next two shows will be pre-recorded, but then ultimately our first show in March is going to be a live show. Live call-in, live mentions, the whole 9 yards. We'll have a special guest. If you want a topic for that first show, vote on it. Put it on the on our social media. Let us know what you want to talk about, and we'll have that discussion in the full light of day, right here under the bright lights with one mic, no filter.
No filter,
Absolutely.
uncensored.
Uncensored. So we'll take a commercial break. Ala, take us out, and we'll pay some more bills.
Life is full of great moments, special moments, shared with friends, family, and loved ones. But for some, pain deprives us from fully enjoying these moments. If chronic pain is keeping you from fully enjoying life, there is hope. Hi, I'm Dr. Marta Martinez. At Advanced Spine Pain Solutions, we're dedicated to treating our patients with the most advanced and compassionate care possible. Visit us for an evaluation and let our experienced staff help you get back to living a pain-free life.
And we are back from our commercial break. And while we were at a commercial break, we had somebody say that it should be shiny side in on the baked potato. I don't know about that. Every mobile home I've ever seen is the shiny side out, and everybody else is baking on the inside. Just saying.
I don't understand that. I just that violates all sorts of rules.
Absolutely. The thermodynamic rules. I'm sure Elon Musk might want to weigh in on this. But you know who I'm going to ask? I'm going to ask our good friends at LMS International. They are custom brokers and freight forwarder logistics folks that handle the importation and exportation of aluminum, of all things, in block form. Kind of a big deal, but maybe that's a cat I want to ask about aluminum. Does the shiny side go outside or inside when you're baking a potato?
So hold on. You guys were talking about baked potatoes.
The question, we had a caller call in and ask us about baked potato. He said he's doing a big party and that they were going to serve baked potatoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I have a recipe or potential suggestion for how to do it? And does the baked potato go wrapped in foil shiny side in or shiny side out?
And
And does
if
it
it's
loaded?
if it's a loaded baked potato, do you use sour cream?
So you wrap it, shiny side out, salt, and you put some oil so the salt can stick. Wrap it and just put it in the
Not on the outside of the foil, though, right?
No, on the potato,
just
yeah.
the potato. Okay, I will make sure because you made it sound like it's
No, no,
oil
no,
and
no,
salt
no,
going to go
no,
on the
no, no.
outside.
And then
Who serves the best loaded baked potato in Laredo?
Laredo.
I mean, what
Good question.
where could you get a
you want me to tell you where I like it? Brisket and beer.
Baked potato, loaded baked,
Baked
potato,
potato, yeah.
brisket and beer.
Well, that has brisket on it, right?
Yeah.
Ringo's.
Yeah.
Ringo's
Ringo's has a
Barbecue has a
Ringo's,
really
yeah.
good loaded baked potato. So does the tack room, believe it or not.
Oh,
They'll
wow.
bring you a nice baked
That's,
potato and you load it yourself.
Blast from the past, right
Blast
there.
from the past.
They don't have the salad bar anymore.
So then, what was the
don't.
deal with
That
the
was a
baked
big-
potato? Loaded or not loaded? What was that
Well,
final
loaded,
outcome?
it was not whether it was loaded or not, whether to complete the load, you had to put sour cream in it.
You have
Well-
to have sour cream in a baked potato, absolutely.
Absolutely. A loaded
Yeah.
baked potato's got to have sour cream. In Idaho, I think it's a state law that baked potatoes in
So,
Idaho
so
have
now
to have
you go
sour
back to like your grandma's back way, right? So we ate arroz with mayonnaise back in the day.
What,
People
Joe?
people used to eat
That's
tamales with
sacrilege.
ketchup. Like so
I got
like
ki-
there's weird.
Yeah, I
Weird
know people
custom.
who eat
I
tamales
got
with
two
ketchup.
kids that like
Yeah.
tamales with ketchup, so I was going to put one up for adoption.
Yeah.
When I saw him putting
Yeah.
ketchup on his tamales.
Yeah. Try the arroz with mayonnaise. Delicious.
Arroz with mayonnaise.
Yeah. Delicious.
Sacrilege, Joe.
Yeah,
Sacrilege.
Yeah.
Holy-
So break the
grandmother's
rules once in a while.
recipe.
This is your
Like,
grandmother's
yeah,
recipe.
like, you know,
Mole, mashed potato, and a rice with.
I just remember my grandmother cooking, and she used to have a bucket of lard on the side there, and that's how she'd cook her frijoles refritos and basically everything that she'd cook. was-
Absolutely.
was-
and she turned over all the tortillas with her hand and
Oh,
with
yeah.
a spatula.
Yeah.
That stuff.
With Radio
Grandma's house,
Cañón playing.
you would get there and you have a stack of fresh made
Of course.
tortillas with some beans. Are you hungry? Órale.
Best marriage advice my grandmother ever gave me: buy a good mattress.
There you go.
Kid you not, 94-year-old woman said, "I'm going to go buy a good mattress."
There you go. Get some good night's sleep.
Do
Is that what it's for?
I
That's
I
it.
don't know what she was thinking or why she looked at me that way and said that to me, but that was my grandmother. So
Buy the mattress.
buy the mattress, a good mattress. Don't skimp. on the
Sealy,
mattress.
one of those
Sealy
Posturepedic.
Posturepedic in those days. It had the
Oh, yeah.
coils and the. I don't know about that, but hey, grandmothers, they give you some great wisdom there.
Oh yeah, man.
So if your grandmother told you something that you thought was hilarious, let us know. We want to hear.
I don't think I can say that on live.
We're gonna-
And what my grandmother told me. But grandmothers are,
And all those recipes,
Yeah.
they go away. The grandma passes away or something.
Nobody
A lot of
writes
those recipes get lost and
Nobody
traditions,
writes it down.
right? Like when my grandparents were like, Christmas was at their house, and everybody, all my tios, on one side of the family is 9. My mom has 9 brothers and sisters. On my dad's side, they had 13.
What about the mattresses?
That was a good mattress.
Yeah,
There you go.
Go back to the mattress.
Yeah. So, they're gone, and just traditions go away, man. It's sad.
Well, it's true because you've got to ask yourself this question: do the wives of today? My daughter is married, and I've got daughter-in-laws, and I wonder if you could pose that question: do they cook as well as the grandmothers of yesteryear?
Absolutely not. I can tell you no. The generation today doesn't even cook. It's all Uber Eats.
Yeah. Yeah.
These delivery, deals. It's
Yeah.
my daughter's one of them. She'll buy a bunch of groceries, and I had to tell her during this last freeze, hey, your microwave may not be working if your electricity's out. You may not be able to cook, so you're gonna have to buy something that you can't warm up.
Shelf-stable.
So you got cereal,
Like a sandwich.
These granola bars or something that that you don't have to be cooking. But a lot of people don't cook anymore.
Yeah.
A lot
True.
of people just don't cook.
That's true.
And so, despite all the shows that are out there on the cooking channel, those traditions have
Those
eroded and
traditions are
they've
gone,
gone
yeah.
away. So tamales, now not a lot of people make tamales. Just the old style,
That's
Mexican cooking.
The cost of a tamale. I mean, it doesn't used to be $6, $8, and now it's $14
12,
a-
14 bucks.
a
Yeah.
dozen,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's more masa than filler.
that's right.
You're lucky
So-
if you get any meat in that. Stew, man. So, but yeah, those days of getting to your grandmother's house and the tortillas were there and food was always on the table.
Always.
And semita and everything was ready to go. Just don't exist anymore.
That was it, man.
Don't exist.
Those were beautiful days.
Beautiful
Beautiful
days.
memories, dude.
Whataburger and Taco Bell and Chipotle, they've all taken over.
They've all replaced my grandmother.
Yeah.
My grandpa used to put us in the back of the truck and íbamos a los 50-cent hamburgers.
Which is now illegal, by the way. You can't put kids in the back of a truck.
And you don't get
And you
50-cent
get
hamburgers.
50-cent hamburgers.
You don't get, and you don't get 50-cent hamburgers anymore.
You
Yeah.
get a 50-cent baked potato.
I think it was what, Glass Kitchen
Yeah.
by Morton High School.
Yeah, the one by Martin
Yeah.
High School.
I ate there
But
yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Glass
Well,
Kitchen?
actually by
On Corpus Christi?
on Corpus Christi. Yeah. Yeah. So
Still cranking out good food.
Yeah.
no, those are the days. You know.
So those are going to be questions we want to ask also. Why is it the restaurants in Laredo don't last? You know, that was one of the topics that we'll have a show specifically about why certain restaurants, you know, that we can remember from our youth, that I can still find in other cities, but they're not here anymore. Bennigan's,
Yeah.
for example. There's not a Bennigan's anywhere.
Or just not even that. Just
Hooters.
the ones that we had, like
closed down.
the unicorn, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
What was it? Golden shrimp, or what was the one on?
Yeah.
Yeah, the golden shrimp.
The
Yeah,
golden
no,
shrimp, like
That
all
was
those.
the quick bite.
The Quick Bite.
Quick Bite. There you
Quick
go.
Bite.
That one, like
The Oriental Kitchen. It was right down.
like those.
Our good friend
right?
Eddie Wu from high school. I remember Eddie
yeah.
Wu. His parents used to own that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's now you know if you go out, you're gonna spend for 3-4 people $150, just to have a good dinner.
Yeah, just have a good dinner.
And so everything's gone up, costs have gone up.
Yeah.
Cost of food has gone up. I personally, I'm trying to cook more at home and trying to
Yeah.
try to eat healthier, but even that is getting expensive. And so kale and spinach and
I got to tell you, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure because it's expensive to go to the doctor. When we talk about healthcare, we're
That's
going to
right.
find out some of those
That's-
costs.
that's
they're all
right.
related.
They're all related. And again, so when we talk about the show not being political and stuff, it really, to some degree, isn't going to be that political. But there are political tinges to everything we do,
Everything.
from healthcare to the foods we eat. The FDA and what they're doing, and there's been some good things and some bad things. The CDC
Yeah.
and some of their policies. We'll talk about climate change and whether or not climate is really how it's really being impacted by humans. The new studies that are out, some of the things
Air
that
quality.
We talked
It's a
about-
big one in Laredo.
yeah, one of the topics I think I remember writing out for you was the 20 climate predictions that have never come true, that have been made from the 70s all the way this way, that we're going to have all these things happen, and none of them have ever come to pass. So does that really mean that we're not having climate change, or does that mean maybe the estimations were a little broader than they should have been, and they just missed the mark? But there is climate change, right?
Oh, there
I
has
tend to be
been,
more of a climate agnostic. It's not that I don't think that it's a hoax or anything, but I do think that that the science is never settled. That's the good thing about science. Science is never settled.
Yep.
There's always going to be some debate about, or new discovery, or something. Right? We're starting to find out more and more about, extraterrestrials. Are we out there? Are we in the universe by ourselves?
Or what was it? Vaccines.
Vaccines.
Right? Vaccines. Same thing.
Yeah. Now, we're not fault. The Europeans have a 12-shot model, and we have a 70-shot model, or something like that. So those are some of the hot topics we're going to talk about, and we're hoping that you join us in this show. 3 men and a mic, 3 minds, 1 mic, no filter.
No filter.
That's the
That's
motto.
it.
And if you want to be a sponsor to our show, any one of the 3 of us can help you put together a package for the show for you. We hope to have great engagement. We're going to promote the show from our side here. Our good friends over at Liquid Studio Group, who are providing the studio and the cameras and all the technology that's powering the show. And ourselves, we're out there in the community every day. So if you want to be part of the show in terms of a topic or sponsorship, just ask.
Yeah.
Get
And
with us.
again, just to say it again, right? At the end of the day, we want to have these conversations, whatever it might be, good, bad, disagreements. But we end the show. We end. Hey, see you in the morning. I'll call you later. Have a beer, whatever. But to be able to have a conversation openly and agree to disagree sometimes,
Sure,
That,
absolutely.
I think that's the whole
And we've
End
said it
game.
long ago, right? That we think that that's the part that's missing.
Yeah.
That for the longest time we could have these great debates, great discussions.
Yeah.
I might even point my finger at your chest, but at the end of the day, we'd walk out and go have dinner together afterwards, and pick up the next day.
Absolutely.
When Uncle Bob comes down from the shack in the mountains after
Yeah.
after a
Yeah.
whole year, he comes
Yeah.
down to the dinner table and we have the same discussions.
Absolutely.
No, I'm in. So I'm hungry, and I think a baked potato might be
Baked
in order.
potatoes in order.
right now.
There you go.
Go find us a baked potato.
Yeah,
Folks, thank you for joining us at the Three Men and a Mic. The show is your show. We hope to see you again on Facebook, YouTube, our website. We may even live stream to Instagram Live as well. So those that are on different platforms have a wide range of engagement. Send us your questions. Send us your topics. You want to be a part of the show? Yeah, we'll get you in, and maybe one day we'll have a big enough studio and we'll do a live audience, and we'll have somebody like our good friend Kenny Duncan do the intros, and maybe a live band. Joe, your brother, and those guys can do
Absolutely.
the live band.
Yeah.
We want the show to grow and be your beyond the borders kind of show. Not just Laredo, not just topics that are border related, but all topics. Hopefully, have folks from all sorts of places come in.
Absolutely.
generate the conversation.
Absolutely. I saw a post the other day where Ben Affleck said something that was kind of nutty, and I responded that he was, I think I said he was a pinche cara sacapuntas. And somebody asked me, why did you say that? Well, because sacapuntas is his favorite word in Spanish. So
I did not know
I
that.
just said, call him a cara sacapuntas, because that's his favorite word in Spanish. So,
Interesting.
anyways, we hope to have engagement from all over, and so join us. We're going to have fun with the show. We're hoping you're have fun with it as well. And for me, Gene Belmaris,
Joe Barron.
Javier Montemayor.
have a great night, and we'll see you next week on Three Man and a Mic.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.